Welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Riesa Pascal. If you're struggling to meet your weight loss and healthy eating goals and feeling a bit frustrated, you'll want to hear this. Joining us now is registered dietitian Megan Hansen, CEO of Metabolism Makeover, to shed some light on a better way to achieve optimal health. Megan, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is a very timely, relevant topic that I know all of us can enjoy and appreciate. So you have 6 key pillars of metabolic health that we need to focus on. So let's start with the first one. You can kind of walk us through this. Blood sugar control. Tell me about that.
Yeah, sure. So I like to focus on blood sugar control before I focus on anything like reducing calories, counting macros, cutting out entire food groups. It's just a way to naturally eat foods that keep you more satiated, that cut down on your cravings. You're gonna eat foods that turn off your hunger hormones. So I find a lot of times when people are just trying to control their blood sugar versus like go on a diet, they're able to see results naturally without the pain of going on a diet. So what does this look like? Pretty much just making sure that you're consuming some protein, some healthy fat, some fiber at every meal. And yeah, you can still eat your carbs being like your bread, rice, pasta, things like that. But as long as you're making sure that you're consuming those other things, the protein, fat, and fiber along with it, you're gonna keep your blood sugar steady and you're gonna stay a lot more full and you're just gonna have better energy levels.
Excellent. And then we have this next one, muscle development. So talk us through that.
Yeah, so we've all been on a diet where I think of like Weight Watchers, for example, where we're told we can, as we lose weight, we have to actually start to decrease our calories and decrease what we're eating. Or maybe like if you hit a plateau, okay, we'll just cut back on what you're eating because you need to eat less. This is not really the case for most people. And a lot of this has to do with the fact, number one, that we are under eating. So it's, our body will actually start to slow down, our metabolism will start to slow down, but we also lose muscle mass when we're under eating. So this is vital to make sure that our metabolic health is really healthy and that we have a good metabolism, that we are actually putting on and maintaining muscle mass. So that's going to look like, again, I'm going to go back to eating protein at every meal and also lifting weights 3 or 4 times a week.
I guess protein shakes would be helpful with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely add those in. I think they can be helpful, especially if you struggle with getting a lot of protein in. We don't want to eat protein shakes at every meal, but
Sure.
as a supplement, yeah, it can be helpful.
Good. And then we want to talk about movement. So is that separate to building muscle? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it is actually. And a lot of people look at movement as like, okay, this is just exercise. No, when I talk about movement, I'm not talking about just exercise or like moving our bodies more to burn more calories. I'm really interested in movement because when we move more when we're especially in our 20s, 30s, 40s, it doesn't really matter, but it helps us to move more as we age. And oftentimes when we get up into our like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s even, we start to lose a lot of mobility. And then that makes it really difficult to maintain a healthy weight, maintain good metabolic health. And, I think we all want to be able to move more and feel really good as we age. So that's why I include movement here. Yes, it's great for our metabolism now, but even more so as we age.
I think that's so important. A lot of us live sedentary lifestyles or have remote jobs where we're not getting out and moving a lot. So
Big
I
time.
think it's important to recognize that. We also want to talk about stress management. I think a lot of us are dealing with stress these days. So how can managing that help with the metabolism?
Yeah, well, I like to think of our bodies as like a stress bucket. So we can fill this bucket with all of life's stressors, and the body will be able to handle whatever fits in that bucket. And we were made to experience stress. So it's not like we're not supposed to be stressed, but most of us overfill that bucket. And I think we all kind of know what that feels like when we start to overfill it.
Yeah.
What happens is when we are stressed, we have a rise in cortisol, and then the cortisol falls. That's the normal response. But when we start to overfill that bucket, it doesn't fall. It just stays up here. And that can lead to, damaged blood vessels, increased risk of heart attack and stroke, but also, insulin resistance, high blood sugar levels, increased belly fat. And that can make it really difficult to lose weight. So it's hard to kind of like link stress with weight management, but in our practice, we see that oftentimes as the #1 cause of weight loss resistance.
That's amazing. The #1 cause, you say?
Yes,
Stress.
in some way, shape, or form. And stress comes in many shapes and forms, but yes.
Wow. Okay, and then this next one, I am guilty as charged, Megan. Sleep. Sleep. Tell me, I need to hear it. Give it to me.
I know, we're so bad at sleep. Because again, it's hard to associate the two, but what I think is really fascinating about sleep is it has more to do with what it does to our appetite. So we regenerate leptin and ghrelin, which is our hunger and satiety hormones, overnight as we sleep. So when we don't sleep enough, we don't regenerate enough of those hormones. And you may notice, like, when you get a poor night's sleep, you are more hungry. And we actually have seen that when we are sleep deprived, we eat up to 300 more calories a day. And it's not chicken and broccoli, you know, it's typically foods that are highly palatable, because sleep deprivation can actually produce higher peaks of the compounds that seem to act on the same part of the brain as cannabis. So we have a lot of things going on that works against us when we're trying to lose weight and not sleeping.
All right, and then we have one more. We have about 30 seconds, but I want to make sure we hit this. Healthy gut. How do we target our gut health? Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, you know, really important to make sure that you're eating enough fiber, that you're eating fermented foods, a probiotic, but most importantly, just eliminating all the junk, like all the processed foods. These are going to really be hard on our gut. And the reason this is a problem is that when your gut is inflamed and it's not so healthy, it can actually affect your entire body. And this is where we see system-wide inflammation. And let me tell you, when your body is inflamed, it is not worried about weight loss. It's not worried about your metabolism. All it's wanting to do is get rid of that inflammation fire.
Wow, this has been so helpful, Megan. Thank you for joining us. For those of you at home, if you want to learn more about Metabolism Makeover, please visit metabolismmakeover.co.